Hey guys, it's Ollie. Today I thought it'd be really fun to make a dice, or make a die I should say. And the question occurred to me is how difficult is it to have a balanced die? Now, dies are traditionally made out of plastic or epoxy or made with set molds and made in a way that they're pretty balanced, so you get a nice even uh, spread of numbers come across the table. So you're not always getting crits, you're not always getting one particular number. And that way it makes it more fun for the team. And I have had games where either myself as the DM or the DM or GM who's in charge of the game has asked someone to go and check their dice, and because they just keep rolling high or they keep rolling low, equally a little bit suspicious. But anyway, I want to know if I can make a d6 out of this little chunk of wood, it's not very big, and have it roll a consistent spread. Now this is a solid bit of wood, so in theory it should be pretty balanced. I'm going to keep it to this sort of size, so it's going to be quite a chunky die. This is literally just enough cut off one of my projects, and I'm going to chuck it through the table saw, and so it will be cut in all 6 directions to make sure it's got nice flat faces, and we'll go from there and give it a few rolls. We'll map out the results and see how we get on. Okay guys, so I've chopped up these. They're not perfect by any means. I mean, you can probably see they're just a little tiny bit wonky, but that's kind of the reason why we're doing this, just to see what it's like. I'm going to run some sandpaper over them, get rid of the pointy corners, and just try and flatten out the sides a little bit more, get rid of some of these saw marks. I don't know if you can see that there. There you go. Yeah, get rid of some of those saw marks, and just get them looking a little bit nicer. Then I'm just basically going to take a Sharpie and mark out the sides, and we're going to give them a roll and see what we get, and hopefully and we'll map them out and see what it looks like. Once again, I want to do a quick shout out to my friends over at Valkyrie RPG. You guys are amazing. You produce some absolutely amazing dice. Anything you need for your RPG experience is right over there at Valkyrie RPG. I'll put the link in the description for you. Those guys are amazing. They provide all sorts of things, from dice to dice trays to dice towers. I know they're looking into a lot of new products as well, so keep your eyes peeled there, and it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. Another quick shout out to Spirit Games in Burton. But bear in mind, none of these are paid sponsors. These are friends. These are guys that I have thoroughly enjoyed my RPG life with. And so Spirit Games down in Burton upon Trent. Thank you very much for welcoming me into your RPG evening once a week or once a fortnight. And I've met some really amazing people and played some amazing games. Okay guys, as you can see, I've kind of made a start on this already, but you'll have to excuse my handwriting as well, it's terrible. So I've just got this red felt tip pen, and I'm just copying the numbers as they appear on this one here. As looking at these, there seems to be sort of two formations. These ones have, like, if we put the 2 at the top, there's a 3 on this side, a 6 on this side, a 1 on that side, and a 4 on that side, and a 5 underneath. So these ones here, they're almost the same, but the 3 and the 4 are on the opposite sides. So you've got the 4 on that side and the 3 on that side. I don't think it makes particularly any difference, but I'm going to just copy where the numbers are on this one. So we're just going to go 5, 1, 3, and then 4. Okay. I mean, it feels very light in comparison to the plastic ones, and your metal ones obviously is going to be a lot lighter than that. It does feel very light, but it rolls, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this 100 times because I'm cool like that. I'm also going to roll it against this one as well. So I'm going to roll this one 100 times as well, and we're going to compare where the numbers sit and what's the most likely outcome of that. I've also left one of these rough, with the rough edges, so haven't sanded down the corners or the edges at all. So I'm going to do the same with that one, and I'll do this one as well, and see how they compare to a store-bought dice. And that was part of a set as well, so I'm half tempted to do a standalone D6 as well, which was just bought out of a tub of D6s. So we should end up with 5 sets of results as a comparison. Okay, so here we have it. I've just made this little graph here, obviously 1 to 6 at the top. Got the 2 shop bought ones there, which should be, there we go. And then we've got our little homemade dice down here as well, including this one, which for some reason I had a bit of a brain malfunction and couldn't spell the word rough. So we've gone with dodgy instead. Right, so I'm going to roll each of these 100 times, and in theory, if they are perfectly balanced, obviously there is a margin of error for just dumb luck really, but in theory you should end up with 20 in there, all the way across, in theory. Quick disclaimer guys, you are about to watch me roll a die 500 times. If you're still watching this video, cool, but we'll get through it nice and quick, and I'll put some appropriate music on it. How about that? There's a deal. Alright, here we go. different die 100 times each. Now if we were going to do this properly, I'd probably have to roll them more like 1,000 times to get a really good idea, but I thought 100 will do for today. It took quite a while as it was, not forever, but you know, it took a while, and I had to go and do the school run in the middle, so apologies. I got a ringer in for die number 4, I think, on the list. This is what the spread looked like. As you can see, I've kind of done a dot for each number that I rolled. No, this wasn't very exciting, I do apologise, but the point was to prove how difficult can it be to make a die. And it turns out, well, I'm going to give you a second, and you can write in the comments if you want, or you can just think to yourself, which do you think was the best die? Now the way I worked this out was I rolled them all, and because I rolled them 100 times, I got a percentage out of it, which, again, very boring. The die that was part of a set, I rolled a 6 20% of the time. Now that's a little above what it should be, I'll give you a hint there. But then again, I rolled a 3 11% of the time. So that was the, oh sorry, that's not the highest and lowest. The highest was the 5 on that particular set, which was the 22. I got 22 times out of 100, so 22%. So the difference between 11% and 22% is 11. So the differential for that is 11. Now, if it rolled absolutely perfectly, the differential will be 0, and if it rolled one number all the time, it would be 100. Okay, can you see where I'm going with this? We want a nice low number, the lower we can get. So the dice that was part of a set, we got 11% difference on, as I just said. The die that came out of the tub from the shop, which was just full of d6s, and you go along 20p or something, whatever it was, grab a load of them, that was 17%. Now I'm thinking that's starting to creep up a bit. Now I don't know if that's a bit high or quite what, but anyway. Now I was fairly surprised by the homemade die. I'm going to start with the one with the rough edges. Highest percentage on any one number was the number 4. I thought it was going to be wildly out, like crazy out. I thought this was going to be a bit of a blowout really, and that it would show go and buy a die from the shop because they're so much better. But the one that had the rough edges, I literally cut out a cube, chucked it around. That had a differential of 12%, which is better than the one out of the tub. And so the highest number we got on that was 24 4s, and we got 12 6s as the lowest, so 12 difference. Now the one that did the best was the second one that I did with the rounded corners, which had a differential of only 6%. That is nearly half what the best bought die of the ones that I tested were. So that die is nearly twice as fair as a die bought from the shop, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. And the other one was a difference of 10, so even that was slightly better than the shop bought one from a set. Now I'm not going to be going out and making my own D20s anytime soon. I'm not going to be messing around with this project anymore. I just thought it was quite interesting that a solid block of wood that was a bit roughly cut, it wasn't perfect, I just chucked it through a saw, and then compared it to ones that I'd gone to the shop, and some of these sets I think you can spend quite a lot of money on. And it's not, again, it's not about the money, it's about the experience. And if someone said to you, here, roll this, and you turn your nose up at it because it's a homemade chunk of wood that someone's cut into a cube, you might want to think again. And if you're a DM that doesn't allow that kind of thing at the table, you might want to think again, because that die could be more fair than one you've gone and bought from the shop. So, on that slightly climactic finish, I think I'll leave the video there. Have a think about it, and we'll see you again. If you like the video, please hit like, and I would love it if you're subscribed. We're quite new, obviously, and it would be great to see you hanging around and see what else we can produce. See you later. Cheers.